Yeah, so let us know where you're joining us from today. We always like to know where everybody's from and just kind of connect with people all over the world. So we definitely want to know where you guys are from. Yeah, it's also the first webinar of 2024. I'm still writing 2023 on literally everything I have to sign. So, so it's going to be until June. We're still going to write 2023. Yeah, but first webinar of 2024, very, very exciting. How was everybody's festive season? Mine literally, because it's summer in South Africa, my festive season literally was just me laying in a hammock binge reading a series of books. The new book is coming out the end of January, so of course, you have to reread everything in order to read the book that's coming out again, or brand new coming out. So that was fun. Okay, let's see where everybody is from. We have people from Ethiopia, we have from LA, Toronto, California, Colorado, Charleston, Stuttgart. Oh, that's amazing. Switzerland, LA, Florida, Isle of Man. Oh, that's amazing. I've always wanted to go to Isle of Man, so that's pretty cool. You're very lucky to actually be there. Illinois, Wyoming, Colorado again, Indianapolis. Awesome. So we are just giving like 5 minutes just for everybody to join. So we'll start about 11. So if everybody's, just go ahead, just let us know in the chat how everybody's doing. Again, where you're from, how your festive season has been. We love to chat with you guys beforehand and just kind of getting to know each other a little bit. Florida, Quebec. It's amazing. So we are doing a Q&A section at the very end of the webinar. So if you have any questions throughout the hour that we will be presenting, please drop it in the chat. We will be going over everything at the end. If we don't get to your question, we are going to answer it afterwards. We'll send you a DM or we'll reply to your comment afterwards with the answer to that question. But we always do try to get through all of the questions at the very end. So do remember to pop that in the chat. All right. Yeah, contact information. We'll also put that on the screen. I believe somebody can also just pop that in your comment, just to give you our contact information. That's definitely doable. It will also be on the screen at the end as well, so you can quickly jot that down. But I'll also go over every way that you guys can contact us at that point as well. Okay, we have Nova Scotia as well. We have Mexico, New Mexico. Well, that's amazing. Okay, I think everybody's joined who's going to join. So let's get right into it. Okay, so we can hop onto the next slide. There we go. So my name is Michaela. I'm the senior sales agent here at the Urban Writers. I've been at the Urban Writers for 4.5 years now, closer to 5 years, but we'll round it off to, to 4.5. I've been a ghostwriter for 7 years. I'm a professional ghostwriter. I've written for the Urban Writers. I've written for other freelancing companies as well. I specialize in both fiction and nonfiction, specifically fantasy. I also do children's books and then also parenting and relationships on top of that. And yeah, I've written over 272 books currently. I'm on my 273rd at the moment. So yeah, if you have any questions, regarding the writing of your book, any other topics. We do have previous webinars that you can go ahead and check out as well. I have hosted most of them. So if you do want to go check it out, it is on our YouTube. You can just go ahead and check out our lives over there. Then the Urban Writers. It was founded in 2018 by Marco and Natasha. We have over 5,000 freelancers at the moment. This includes editors, writers, narrators, cover designers, everything that you can think of. Basically, we have those freelancers on our platform that can create your content for you. We also have written over 1 billion words at the moment and have over 20,000 satisfied customers. Basically, the Urban Writers has transformed the way that customers and freelancers connect, and basically everything is under one roof. So whatever you need before publishing, we can do that for you. All you have to do is do the marketing and the publishing on your end. Alrighty, so for the agenda today, we are going to go over why you should consider doing audiobooks and to convert your book into an audiobook. We will go over what makes a great audiobook as well, challenges and tips that you might face during this process. We'll go over the next webinar that we'll have, and then at the very end, we will have our Q&A section, as mentioned before. So again, if you have questions, please drop that in the comments. We're happy to go over them at the very end. Okay, so why you need to consider an audiobook. The US audiobook publishing generates over 200 a year since 2021. Now, every year that does increase, so it is a massive market at the moment. Everybody wants to read an audiobook or well, listen to an audiobook, depending on how you look at it. But yeah, it's a very, very big market to get into. Now, the first reason is that you are going to reach a larger audience. Now, how I always like to explain this is in order to reach a larger audience, you need your book in different formats. Because some people that like ebooks don't necessarily like audiobooks, and vice versa. Some people that like audiobooks don't like hardcovers, they like to just have the digital copy of it also maybe. So it definitely does depend on what that person prefers. And again, that does broaden your horizons of the audience that you are going to reach. Next up, it is accessibility. That kind of ties into the first point. People who might have a reading disability or a vision impairment, audiobooks are absolutely fantastic for those people, and it just makes it a little bit more accessible for those people, because most people like reading, right? So, and if something is converted in a way that makes it accessible to more people, of course, that makes a greater impact on their life, and it also means that you are reaching a wider audience. Then we also have it enhances your engagement. This opens you up for more comments, more reviews. Again, if you are advertising your book, that does mean that you are going to get more engagement on that, because more people that actually do like audiobooks will be engaging in that as well. Not just your ebook audience, but also your ebook hardcover and audiobook audience. Next up, this is a new revenue stream. Most of these points do tie into one another. The new revenue stream, again, is the fact that you can access a wider audience. You don't just have your ebook and paperback that you have to sell, you have your audiobook as well. You can also charge more for your audiobook, given that it is sometimes pricier to get your audiobook narrated as well. So you can charge more for it. It is also a little bit more value for money. Some readers do feel like it is a little bit more value, so you can charge a little more for that as well. And then we have expanding your brand. If somebody thinks of you as somebody that just writes ebook and audiobooks, they're only going to come to you as a writer or a publisher for those two things. If you do broaden your horizons into audiobooks, that is going to expand your brand as well, and people are going to look at you for more than just one or two things. Alrighty, we can go. There we go. Um, so what makes a great audiobook? The first and foremost, the most important thing is having great voice acting. This goes for a fiction and for nonfiction. Mostly fiction, you need somebody who can actually dramatize your work. But for nonfiction, it is someone who has a good voice, someone who is calm. If your book is more formal, it needs to be a formal narrator, and that narrator actually does need to suit your book. So great voice acting and great narration is super, super important, and it's very important that you are getting the right person. Next up is production quality. Now, most narrators do have their own setups. They can mix the audio, they can equalize everything, they can actually edit everything to make sure that one chapter isn't louder than the next, there isn't any background noise, and their mic, most narrators have fantastic mics as well. So it is very important to make sure that your narrator has that entire setup before you do hire them. Otherwise, you would need to hire a different professional to edit that as well. So you can just hit two birds with one stone and get everything done at the same time. Then adaptation and abridgment. Now, what abridgment means is that the narrator or you even will adapt the book for narration. This means that the narrator will shorten the book a little bit to increase flow from one chapter to the next or even one sentence to the next. In some cases, the narrator does not need to give the full explanation that is given in the book because they are actually reading the document or read the manuscript. They can emphasize certain things that it isn't necessary to put certain descriptions in either. So if Sally yelled at Johnny, the narrator can do the yelling scene and it doesn't need to be described again. So adapting and abridgment, this is normally for fiction books. It's very important just to make sure that there isn't any fluff in the narration itself. Then we have engaging storytelling and great writing. All audiobooks start out as ebooks, and it starts out as an idea on paper. In essence, you need to be a good writer, or you need to have a good writer write your book in order for the audiobook to be good as well. A narrator cannot save a bad book. So your book itself needs to be well written, and it needs to be there needs to be good storytelling if you are doing a fiction book. And then the narrator also needs the ability to set the mood and the atmosphere. So there is a big difference in saying there was an eerie silence in the forest, as though the trees itself was afraid of what lurked beneath, compared to there was an eerie silence in the forest, as though the actual trees feared what lurked beneath. There's a big difference between that. One um, version actually gives you an idea and it sets that eerie feeling. And the other one is just normal. You don't really get that anxiety that kind of creeps up your neck that you do need in certain scenes. So the ability to set the mood and the atmosphere is incredibly important, specifically for fiction books. Alrighty. Next, we will go through the challenges and tips. Now, with fiction specifically, do go ahead and consider a full cast or even a two-person cast. It is very different and it's sometimes very awkward if a woman needs to do a male voice or male lines and vice versa. Sometimes it just does not work. It does not work in certain types of books. Specifically, if you're looking at romance or dark romance, it kind of it ruins the mood in a sense. So considering getting two people to do the narration for you is definitely something that you should consider, especially again for romance or dark romance, that kind of genre. Um, Again, it doesn't need to be a full cast. You can just have two people. A full cast is very, very, very popular at the moment. It is gaining popularity as well. So again, it is advised to consider something like that. Not 100% necessary, but do look into it. Next up is to collaborate with professionals. It is very important to collaborate with someone who has, again, a proper setup, who has done narration in the past, who can actually produce the audio itself, and who knows what files and what formats to deliver your audiobook in. If you are going with someone who's never done something like that before, they are not going to deliver the proper files and the proper quality that you do need from an audiobook. If you want to do it yourself as well, do consider getting a professional narrator to help you as well. If you do want to narrate the book, go into a professional studio, collaborate with other narrators to make sure that you are emphasizing your point and that the quality of the book is on point as well. Then we have a great cover. Now this is for ebook and hardcover and audiobook. People do judge a book by its cover. And if you don't have a good cover, you're probably not going to sell a lot of books. Again, people do judge a book by its cover, especially if it's fiction, especially if it's something like a self-help book where the market is very saturated and you have to stand out with your cover. Now, usually your ebook, paperback, and audiobook, they do have the same covers. Unless you do special editions, then the cover might change a little bit. But for the most part, the cover will be the same for all three formats. If you're doing hardcover as well, that will be the same cover as well. So it is important to have a very, very good cover. Again, this can be applied to all formats of your book. Then we have the marketing and promotion. This, next to the writing of the book, might be your most important part of publishing. You are not going to sell books if you are not promoting and you are not marketing your book. So consider doing things like TikTok, for example, Facebook, YouTube, wherever you can reach an audience has that reads audiobooks or that reads books in general. If you can reach that audience, no matter what social media you are on, you can do your marketing. You don't need to spend thousands on marketing. Yes, it is very good to hire a professional, and you are going to get a lot more copies sold if you are doing this. But if you have if you can reach an audience on social media and save a couple of bucks, that is very good as well. Just make sure that you are getting that engagement, because if you aren't getting an engagement on your marketing, that does mean that you might be doing something wrong and you need to consult a professional on that part. Then we also have considering a graphic audio. This is specifically for fiction. Now, graphic audio is a platform that does convert audiobooks to graphic audio. The graphic audio literally includes stuff like musical scores. If the character is walking through a forest, you can hear the footsteps and you can hear the crunching of leaves. It is absolutely fantastic. It does cost quite a bit more than a normal audiobook. But if you do have the finances later down the line, this is definitely something to consider. Now, you don't have to only have a graphic audio published. Most, if not all, books that are on graphic audio, they're all audiobooks on Audible as well. So you can always access them as a normal audiobook, and you can access them as a graphic audio. So again, you don't have to do one or the other. You can do both. And once you have made some money, you see that, okay, your book is popular, consider something like graphic audio. And then we have finding the right narrator. Your book has a certain vibe, whether it's fiction or nonfiction. if it's nonfiction, for example, you'll have it formal, or you'll have it friendly, you'll have it a little bit more humorous. You want somebody who has a sense of humor and that can deliver a joke to do a humorous book. You want someone who sounds like a professor if you're doing a formal type of book. You want to have the perfect narrator for each vibe. If when you have your manuscript, you know exactly what kind of vibe you want for the manuscript and what kind of atmosphere you want to provide or want to create for the listener. Okay, so it is very, very important to find the right narrator. So finding the right narrator would require you to listen to samples. At the Urban Writers, all narrators do have samples on their profiles, so you can go in, you can listen to different things. Some narrators even have different voices that they do, and everything you can find everything in their samples. So it's absolutely fantastic to go and listen to those. If you have somebody else that's doing it, again, ask for a sample. It is very, very important to listen to those. Again, with the Urban Writers, if a narrator requests to work on your book, they will send in a sample as well. So you need to give them a little, like I believe it's 100 words or something, that you need to give the narrator to read. They will send that in to you. You can listen to the sample and then decide who you want to work with. So that is something very good to keep in mind when choosing a narrator. Don't just go off of even one sample. Compare all of the samples that they have done. Now, if you do want to get in touch with us regarding an audiobook or regarding your book in general, you can always reach out to us at sales@theurbanwriters.com or sales@dibley.com. So we will go in the comments, we will put in our contact information as well. You can always reach us there. You can give us a call. You'll find that on our website on the contact us page. So you can give us a call, you can schedule a demo, or you can even go into a live chat where we will assist you as well. So if you have any further comment or questions that you might think of afterwards, just pop them, just send us an email, give us a call, pop in a chat, and we will most definitely be able to help you from there. Alrighty, then what's next? We have a dark romance webinar coming up as well. Now, the date and time is still to be determined, but this will definitely be either before the end of the month or early February, so that we are kind of in line with Valentine's Day as well. Now, dark romance is a very delicate topic, so we will go through that. We'll go through why you should consider doing this, even though it is a bit of a niche topic. We'll go into what makes a great dark romance book, challenges and tips, what's next, and also a Q&A. So definitely check out the next webinar if you are interested in doing a book like that. Again, it is very, very popular at the moment, so it definitely is something to consider if you're not 100% sure what niche you want to go into just yet. Okay, next we have our Q&A. So I'm going to depend on my helper who's doing the slides to put up some questions, and then I can answer them as we go. So, how long should an audiobook be? For nonfiction, you'd usually look at about 2.5 to 3 hours. That is about 25 to 30,000 words. That is the sweet spot. That is what we have noticed is the most popular word count as well. So for nonfiction, that is a very good length. So 2.5 to 3 hours. Then for fiction, it really does depend on the kind of book that you want to write. If it's a fantasy book, you'd look upwards of 10, 20 hours. I literally read one the other day that was 29 hours, which was a fantasy book. So it does depend on the kind of book that you are doing. If you have short stories, it can be as little as an hour, which of course you do charge a little less for. But short stories are very popular for people who just want to get a quick book in during a lunchtime or during the time that they can take a bath or when their children are asleep. So also consider short stories if you do want to do fiction and you just want to do something very quick. Okay. Are audiobooks only for fiction? No, they are not. We actually have more audiobooks for nonfiction than we do for fiction, just because nonfiction is a little bit more popular to write in. So yes, you can definitely do it for nonfiction as well. It is very, very popular in both nonfiction and fiction, but yeah, it's not just for one or the other. For fiction, usually the dramatization of the book is more popular. But yeah, if honestly, if you have nonfiction or fiction, it goes either way. Okay. How do I choose a narrator? You can go ahead and listen to samples. That is the best advice that I can give you, is just listen to samples and make sure that they fit the vibe of your book. Yeah, so again, samples. It is a very, very important thing to go through. It's just the samples. I can't give you better advice than that. Okay, how much does narration cost? Narrators can cost, it can cost a lot, thousands and thousands. Other narrators are more affordable. At the Urban Writers, we charge $1.76 per 100 words, which is if you're doing 10,000 words, which is an hour to an hour and a half of audiobook, it will be $176 to get it narrated. It's delivered in the correct format as well, and of course, it is produced and edited accordingly as well. Alrighty. Let's go ahead. I'm just gonna get some more questions. I'm going through the oldest first so that we can address those. Okay. Now, where do I publish my audiobook? Now, there are multiple ways or multiple platforms that you can publish where you can publish your audiobook. Audible is the most popular, it is the easiest, but you can consider other places as well. You have, oh my goodness, what is it? Oh, I can't think of the name right now, but definitely just go in and Google and see where you can upload your audiobook. There are many, many platforms where you can actually do it, but Audible is the most popular. Now, can you sell an audiobook of a public domain book? Yes, you can, as long as it is still in the public domain. It is very important to check your copyrights, check the terms and conditions of the public domain in your specific country. So just make sure that everything is legal. In most cases, you can, but just make sure that it is legal in your country from wherever you are publishing from. Yeah. And also the platform does also determine whether it is legal or not. So if you are publishing with Audible, there might be a different rule somewhere else. Okay, let me see. Okay, give me 1 second. Just need to zoom in a little bit. My eyesight is not the greatest. So let me see. Okay, I have a nonfiction book with graphics and lists. How to include those in an audiobook? It is a little bit more difficult to include those. That would need to be abridged in some way. Usually, when people do a book with graphs and graphics and those pie charts, for example, it is abridged. Um, Sometimes they don't even convert that into an audiobook per se. It's it does depend on how you can abridge it. If those graphs and charts cannot be abridged, for example, if it says if your pie chart says okay 75% of people like donuts instead of pizza, the narrator can do that. But if it's something extremely technical like a finance book, it might be good to consider alternatives because it is a lot more difficult to narrate those than getting just normal nonfiction book narrated. Okay. In my fantasy fiction audiobook, is utilizing sound effects necessary or even desirable? Again, it does depend on what you want, really. Sound effects and um, even music is not necessary. It really is not. But it is something that a lot of readers look for. I, for example, look at something like that. I listen to the sample on Audible and then I decide, do I want to read it? Do I not want to read it? Based on the sound effects or even the voice acting of that as well. So it does depend on the reader. You don't have to include them. It's definitely not necessary, but it is something nice to add. It does augment the experience. So again, it depends on the kind of experience that you want the reader to have. It's just more immersive that way. Okay. Could I refer in the audiobook to my website, or could I include a free ebook version along with the audiobook? Yes. So you can. It is very. It's a little bit of a gray area because if your book is available for free somewhere else, Amazon, so KDP, might flag it as a copyright infringement. So it is, you do need to check out the legal standpoint of everything. You can refer to your website. The narrator can say, okay, it's www.website.com, that kind of thing. They can definitely add that, but just check the free versions of your ebook just to make sure that KDP does not flag it as a copyright infringement, because they do that quite often if you have a book available for free somewhere else. But you can do a version of your book. If you have maybe a workbook, you can link to that as well. Okay, does the full cast need to be in studio at the same time, or can each actor do his or her parts from the home with proper equipment? It doesn't need to be in the same studio. It can be separate and they're all just edited together. So you would need one person to edit everything and to kind of um, copy and or paste everything together, but they don't need to be in the same studio. It's kind of like voice acting for a cartoon or a game. Usually the voice actors never even see each other. It is one person per line, or they'll record one whole chapter, one person, and then they'll adapt it to the next one. The next one will do their lines, etc., etc. What about audiobooks in several languages? Yes, you can definitely do that. It is also very popular to do that. The Urban Writers only does narration in English. We do British and American English. So that's the only thing. You would have to go to somewhere else to get your audiobook translated at the moment. We do the translation itself of the book into Spanish and German, but we do not do the narration at the moment for those languages. But it's definitely it's a good idea to if you do have the translated version on ebook or hardcover, paperback, it is a good idea to adjust that into audiobook as well. Alrighty. See if there are more people. Okay, I don't see anything else on my side. But if you have any other questions, please pop them in the chat. We have time for a couple more. We can also go in and just answer them afterwards. So if you do have any questions, and you can, if you have questions, you can contact us. You can leave it in the chat, and we will answer you as soon as we have a chance. So whether it's in chat, whether it's via email, call, chat, or live chat, we can definitely answer those questions for you as well. So if anything pops up later on, you can always reach out to us. Again, the contact information is support at the urban right. Well, sorry, not support, sales at theurbanwriters.com and sales@dibley.com. You can also go onto our website, which is www.theurbanwriters.com. Navigate to the Contact Us page, and you will see all of the information there as well. Alrighty, well, that is it from us for today. It was lovely having everybody. I don't see any other questions in chat. So, again, if you have anything, let us know and have an absolutely fantastic day ahead. And thank